This is the Washington Times front page for Wednesday, December 7th, 2022. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. Incumbent Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock pulled out a victory over Republican Herschel Walker in Georgia's runoff election Tuesday, giving his party a key 51st vote in the upper chamber. With 98% of precincts reporting, the Associated Press called the race for Warnock, who garnered 51.3% of the vote, to Walker's 48.7%. Warnock first won the seat in a 2021 runoff. This victory earns him a full 6-year term. The 51-49 margin for Democrats in the next Congress means full control over committee gavels and investigatory subpoenas. The two men have been campaigning against each other for months in what has become the most expensive Senate race of the year. Walker's defeat caps an election cycle in which voters rejected candidates blessed by former President Trump in marquee races, and Democrats defy historical trends of defeats for the party holding the White House. Congressional Democrats have included a Republican-backed measure to repeal President Biden's COVID-19 vaccine mandate for service members in this year's National Defense Authorization Act. The decision, Ben Wolfgang and Joseph Clark report, follows the president siding with Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin in opposing the mandate's repeal. The president initially signaled he'd consider the proposal after speaking with House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy over the weekend. Republicans say the mandate harms military readiness and has led to the Pentagon's inability to meet its recruiting goals. Once Congress passes the annual defense spending bill, which does take some time, the Pentagon will have 30 days to fully rescind the requirement. It's been in place since August of last year. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says wearing masks is a good way to prevent respiratory illnesses hitting parts of the country. Tom Howe reports that's prompting dissent from those who feel the agency is deploying a COVID-19 tool against viruses that haven't triggered similar guidance. CDC Director Rochelle Walensky recommends a high-quality, well-fitting mask to prevent the spread of respiratory illnesses, namely COVID-19, the flu, and disease caused by a virus known as RSV. During the height of the pandemic, critics of the agency warned that federal officials would pressure Americans into using masks as a tool against a never-ending array of pathogens. Those critics say this guidance confirms that intent. You can read all of these stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page. You can also find our entire lineup of Washington Times podcasts at WashingtonTimes.com/podcasts. And a quick note that the front page will be off for December 8th and 9th and will return on Monday, December 12th. A group of antagonistic House Republicans is looking for an alternative to be the next Speaker of the House instead of Republican leader Kevin McCarthy. Mika Solner, Susan Ferricchio, and Kerry Pickett report the opposition to McCarthy is driven by a group of 5 Republican lawmakers, including Arizona Congressman Andy Biggs and Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. They're determined to use their leverage in a thin Republican majority to make it difficult and potentially impossible for McCarthy to win the 218 votes needed to become the Speaker in the next Congress. Republicans are poised to govern with a 5-seat majority, which means just a handful of rank-and-file lawmakers can thwart McCarthy's election. The group could face the wrath of the Republican Steering Committee, however, which decides what GOP members serve on each House committee. New Twitter CEO Elon Musk has fired the company's Deputy General Counsel and Vice President, James Baker. Susan Ferricchio reports Baker helped suppress a story from the New York Post on the platform regarding Hunter Biden's laptop in the lead-up to the 2020 presidential election. Baker, a former FBI general counsel, was dismissed after Musk revealed Twitter's internal deliberations ahead of the decision to ban the laptop story. And finally, President Biden declined a chance to visit the southern U.S. border while on a trip to Arizona this week. As he departed the White House for Phoenix, Stephen Dinan and Jeff Murdoch report the president told reporters his priority was intended to highlight Taiwan Semiconductor's new computer chip production facility. Arizona Republican Governor Doug Ducey joined him on the visit. Biden has refused invitations from congressional Republicans and border state officials to visit the boundary. Find all today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Washington Times in any major podcast app. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. And a quick note that the front page will be off for December 8th and 9th and will return on Monday, December 12th. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.